Hello and welcome. My name is Vex and welcome to a Godforge video. Today we've got the hot topic of the week. The Godforge pull rates have been showcased. We're going to get into it. I'm going to talk about me and why my opinion on this matters, or why I think it matters. We're going to talk about these rates for Godforge as they are now, in this sort of like not even in early access look at it. We're going to talk about other gacha games and their rates and how they compare, and you'll get a sense of my overall opinion on these rates and maybe what we could do to improve them. I'm slightly biased. I'm slightly negative by, I don't know, I feel like I'm going to try to be as always, I'm going to be as critical as I can be without being, like hateful. Like, I'm not hateful. I want to approach this in a way that can be informative and, can sort of give a voice to kind of what some people have been feeling and overall help the game out as much as I can, me being one person in the community. Because we all just want to play like a really fun game, right? And that's like kind of what all my videos and all my React videos are. I just try to break the game down for everyone to enjoy and for me to give my honest opinions on, but not from a hateful way, because obviously I want to play the game. I want it to succeed. I want the team to do well. Yeah. So I guess I'll start with why I think that my opinion matters. I've said this a couple times in some other videos, but if this is your first time here, hello, welcome. We film these live in front of a studio audience on twitch.tv/vexinglive. All my Godforge videos are recorded live, so if you want to see all the bits that are cut out and like me restarting a video over and over, come check it out. But I am, my sort of, one of my main professions is esports coaching. I like to look at things in a sort of analytical way and sort of determine what futures might arise and what things could be changed to improve, like sort of little by little. We've done a bunch of coaching on stream. I've talked about it a bunch. I really enjoy what I do. I don't get to do it as much as I would want to do, but it's super fun. So beyond that, I'm obviously a gamer. I stream 5 nights a week now. I play all manner of gacha games. I had a list of all the gacha games that I could remember over the last like 2 years that we've played on stream, but I forgot the list. But Neverness to Everness actually just got back to me. We're going to be playing the beta to that this upcoming weekend. So we're always playing gacha games. I've played every MiHoYo game that has so far been released. I've played, so that's the big ones are like Honkai Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Genshin Impact, Zenless Zone Zero. I've played Arc Knights Enfield that just came out. I've played Goddess of Victory Nikkei. I've played Girls Frontline. I've played Neural Cloud. I've played Alchemy Stars, Raid Shadow Legends, obviously, Watcher Realms, Dragonair, Etheria Restart. There's a bunch more that I just can't just rattle off the top of my head. But most of them I've played for a good amount of time. I really like gacha games. I really like, I sort of lean more towards the anime style ones, but I like gacha games in all of their forms, as long as the game's fun to play or I get something out of it. I play Raid Shadow Legends as an incremental growth game. I do not promote it on my channel at all. I don't stream it. I don't want to give them any business. I play free to play. We'll get into that a little bit later. But all that to say is I'm familiar with drop rates, and we're going to go over drop rates in other games, at least in a sort of like top line, not going too deep into the minutia. Actually, Unbound Sage just released a video today. If you're watching this video, it would be in the past, because I'm not going to upload it for a couple days. But Unbound Sage, I'll link that video down below. But he's got a breakdown of these specific rates and what they mean mathematically. I'm going to go over them in sort of like a top, surface level and sort of like a feeling type of way, as somebody who's played tons of these gacha games. For extended amount of times, I spent a lot of money in gacha games. And gachas sort of like live and die by their gacha system, right? It's yeah, like, oh yeah, the gameplay's fun, or oh, the characters are cool. But if I can't obtain the characters, or if it feels like I'm being robbed, I'm not going to play the game. That kind of thing. So we're going to get into it, starting with these Godforge rates. I'm going to talk about them a little bit, and then I'm going to bring up a spreadsheet. So stick with me. I hope that we can get through this quickly, and I hope that I can portray my thoughts as they've been bouncing in my head all day. I don't know how it's going to come out, so we'll see. But first, I wanted to showcase something, and I want to talk about this before I get too heated, because I know this would set me off. It has nothing to do with Simon, but this is the main screen as it is right now in their dev build, right? I'll see if I can get a picture for post of what the screen looks like without Simon there, because I think we saw it in a previous video. This giant chest behind him says shop on it, and it's legit the same size behind him as the battle button. It says store on it or whatever, and it's the same size, taking up an egregious amount of the... I just want to get this out of here. What are we doing? What are we doing? That's... Simon's whole body, it can't even cover it. Okay, we're moving on. We're talking about gacha rates. There's a ton of other stuff in this video, by the way, that's interesting. They're talking about the state of the game and things. They talk about skill tomes and getting characters, and there's even a little bit here about this sort of echo fragment spark system, where if you summon them a certain amount of times, you can choose a character here that you've gotten before to get a duplicate copy of them. This sort of spark system I'm going to talk about a little bit in the future, but for now we're going to talk about these. So I think there's a big misconception and a big... I think people are not being clear about what they're unhappy about. There's a difference between... And I think it kind of maybe stems from both of these sections being labeled drop rates. There's a difference between drop rates and pity. So drop rates are the sort of raw stats of are you going to get a character from a specific resource? And that's what these percentages are. And some of them are rounded probably or whatever, but it is what it is. The pity is the game helping you along the way to get those characters. So it feels a little less bad. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But overall, so they've got this sort of Raid Shadow Legends spread, which is, and time and time again, a lot of the staff is saying, hey, this is industry standard. So most of us come from Raid or have played Raid and know this sort of spread of resources. We know what to expect. This is the only way to get commons. You're going to get a common character if you open Immortal, which is the green ones. There's a 1% chance to get a rare from the green ones, which is pretty nice. Whatever. I imagine the green ones we're going to get a lot. I don't know if I mentioned this already, but I'll probably say it again a couple times. But we don't know, these numbers could have already changed. We also don't know what the rate of us acquiring these resources is going to be. Are we going to get 2 mortal stones a day, or are we going to get 1,000? We don't know. We just don't know. So I'm basing this off of just sort of raw data, and my own personal feelings, I guess. I think the rates overall, the spread of percentage rates, are fine. I think this is pretty standard gacha. There are some gacha games that go up to 1% for the legendary characters, the SSR characters. They go up to 1%. Some go up to 4%, with some caveats. I think this is fine. Given the spread between 4 different currencies, I think it's also apparent that we're not going to get banners. At least in the traditional sense, there's not going to be a rotation of banners of hey, here's the Wukong banner. When you roll on this banner, It's going to be separate from your other pity, and it's going to, you're going to be guaranteed to get that one character. It might show up in a different form. I don't think it's going to be the same, like, sort of Raid Shadow Legends 10x copies of that character are now in the pool, so you now have a 10 times rate up to get that character, but it's really, a 0.75% or whatever. I think it's just not going to exist in sort of a traditional gacha way. I think it's going to be closer or more akin to Raid Shadow Legends, but we don't know. So these stats are no rate up, and I've been seeing a lot of people talking about, these are the stats with no rate up. So like, don't get it twisted. Like, when you have rates up, it's going to be way better. And talking about how, like, in Raid, you save all your resources for events or for specific things where the rates match, and you don't want to pull your things when the rates are lower. And it's like, my opinion on that is us eating the slop and saying, "Can I have some more, please?" I don't know how else to say that, but that's what it feels like. Like, it feels really fun in Raid Shadow Legends when I get to open my shards, when I get to play the game, when I get to get new characters that I can now build. I've been saving for months, and now I finally get to use all of them. Like, I want every day to log in and open the shards that I get for that day, but I can't because the rates aren't there, and it would be illogical, and it would be a terrible idea to do that because you wouldn't be able to get characters in the future. I think that's like a flaw in Raid's game design. From my perspective, from a player's perspective. From their perspective, it's great, right? But I think the wait till the rates are up and it'll be better is a bad argument. I think the rates are fine as they are. It's the pity in this like bottom section that I'm really, really not happy with. And some people are like, oh, well, a little bit of it's on rate. 80 summons for one rare on a mortal shard is like really good rate. But like, that's not what I'm talking about. Like, I don't really care if I open green shards and never get a blue. Like, that's not where I'm getting blues from. I'm getting blues from the ones that say 91%. Like, whatever. I'm not going to go on a spree of opening 1,000 mortal. Like, I'm not going to buy a pack that gives me 1,000 mortal stones so I can open them and get some rares. Like, that's not what's happening. I think, and I've been advocating for a long time. I don't understand why there's not a 1 epic per 10 pool in any of the like ancestral or eternal shards, any of the sort of medium shards, not the big ones, because the big ones can only get epics and legendaries, right? Every 40 summons you do with each of them, you're guaranteed 1 epic. At least one, right? If you go on a dry spell of 39 rares, you're going to get 1 epic. If I had the time, I would compile every time Hell Hades, Ash, Nub Raids, Boozer, Scratch. I don't know if Deadwood or any of them ever did shard pools, but like literally any content creator that plays Raid Shadow Legends that has done openings, I would compile a mega video of them complaining about getting 10, 20, 30 rares in a row in Raid Shadow Legends after they just spent a bunch of money getting their shards or saving up and using their shards without getting an epic. Like, we all know about the rare tags. Like, oh, you got to get a bunch of rares in a row before you get something big. Like, we all know that doesn't feel good. 40 is not the answer. 30 is not the answer. 20 is not the answer. 10 is the answer. So many other gacha games have solved this. And it's just an epic every 10. We know that there's going to be at least 200 characters in the game. There's 9 factions spread across common, uncommon, rare, epic, and legendary characters. We know there's going to be, a good amount of legendary characters and likely a good amount of common characters. And then sort of like an even spread probably of uncommon, rare, and epics. There's going to be a good amount of epics in the game, even if it's only like 40 epics or whatever, 45. think of how long it would take you to get the specific epic you identify with or that you really want for a strategy you're trying to go for, and then also get duplicate copies of that character. When you could just be the most unlucky person, and every 40 rolls, that's when you get your epic, and you never roll that character that you want. Like there's so much like feel bad built into this that it's not just simply about, you know, oh, I'm getting an epic or whatever. Like some people are like, oh, well, you don't want to get characters too often, and I can understand that. But there are games that launch with far fewer characters in the pool, and you quickly accumulate the maximum amount of copies of that like epic level character. You still use them, and then when you get other copies of them, you get bonus currency for them. So it's still really nice to have that you then use that bonus currency in the in-game shop for some other thing. Like this is a very, very common gacha thing. And like 90% of other gacha games have a 1 per 10 pool pity. And that's like I feel like the biggest kick in the teeth when I saw this, because I have heard so many times people complaining about Raid's lack of 1 per 10 pool. And then we saw it in the minigame, and I thought, okay, well, the minigame doesn't have any pity built into it. So, like, that's just the minigame, the gacha, the Godforge Go quest, you know. That's not indicative of what the banners are going to be like in the game. But there's no pity here either. It's every 40. And then it's like every 200 summons. 200 summons! You get 1 legendary character. We're going to get into it when we talk about other games, but so many other games are so much more lenient. And I've been playing those games for years and don't have maxed out characters. Like, we can't even say that it's going to be, oh, you're going to get the legendaries too fast if you make it every 120 summons. 200 summons is egregious for this genre. And then the biggest what the F is going on, 40 summons every big legendary shard, this flawless shard. Every 40 summons, you're guaranteed at least 1 legendary. 40! For reference, in Raid Shadow Legends, I think the monetary average of one of these things is like $20 or $22. In-game, in Raid Shadow Legends, they give you 1 of these a month. And, like, who knows? The currency could be way different. These could cost, you know, maybe $10 or whatever. But 40 summons? And like I said, Unbound Sage did a math breakdown of this, and it's just, like, totally egregious compared to other games. And I think this will likely be changed. But I think what a lot of people are missing from the pity argument is that the rates are fine, but there's zero help from the game to get you to where you want to be. So Raid Shadow Legends, actually, let's this is a perfect time to hop into the spreadsheet. Let me zoom in. They get progressively less and less pretty, by the way, because I spent less and less time on it. So this is what we were just talking about. There's no soft pity. So every time you're summoning for these 40 flawless shards, every time you pull up until shard number 40, it's always 6% chance to get a legendary. It doesn't climb every time you get a new shard. Open a new shard, it climbs. Nothing like that. So let's now look at Raid Shadow Legends. Okay, so sorry about this, but I had to step away from the recording for a little bit and coming back. I think I remember exactly what we were talking about. Future me, it's your problem. Join the live streams if you want to see what happened in between. And more shenanigans like this. I think we were just talking about, or I was trying to bring up the point of soft pity and like how the rates of drop percentages between Godforge and Raid Shadow Legends are basically exactly the same. I've added this extra primal shard. That's just because Raid has an extra shard percentage that they've given us. Godforge did not include the other shards that are in the game, or the other stones that are in the game, because those are going to be like a separate mechanic. What I really want to talk about, though, is the soft pity. So this is what I was mentioning a little bit before. This sort of like help you get so you don't have to go to hard pity. So if you remember, hard pity from Godforge is 40 on the biggest stones for legendary. Hard pity for Raid Shadow Legends, I think, is about... It's somewhere between 36 and 50 or something like that. I can't remember. Unbound Sage, his video's got all that information. Raid, after a certain breaking point, they will give you a boost to the percentage of your targeted, rarity after X amount of summons. So like you open 12 shards of these big ones with no legendary, and the 13th one goes from 6% to 8%. And then from 8% to 10%, and 10% to 12%, so on and so forth, until you're guaranteed 100%. And that little extra boost makes it, on average, a little bit less than 40 to get a legendary. And there's soft pity, or there's soft pity on, I guess every shard. If you summon 200 times on the primal shards, and you don't get a mythic, every one above that gets 10% increased chance. And it's the same for like every shard that matters. They also have soft pity building, or I think this might have been hard pity. Every 20 summons, you're guaranteed an epic. Actually, I have the game open. I can go double check. When I made this, I tried to not put as much information as I could in it. Let me double check. Yeah. So with Ancients and Voids, after 20 summons without an epic, this 2% increases. So it's a soft pity. So on an Ancient, 20 shards in, or 21 shards in, you're 10% to get an epic. So that probably lands at around 40, the same as Godforge. Regardless, the point is, Raid at the very least, however bad it is, and I think objectively, the summoning rates in, at least the pity rates, the pity thresholds in Raid are abysmal. They are dog water, literal dog water. And this is not, I think, a moment where we need to keep the industry standard. I think that we need to improve on it. And this is what I want to talk about other games. So, like I said in the beginning of the video, I've played a ton of other games. I told you this was not going to be elegant. They get worse and worse, I'm telling you. So, I want to talk about the MiHoYo games a little bit. Just trying to breeze through here. They don't have common and uncommon heroes. They just have rare, epic, and legendary type characters. These are the percentages. It's pretty standard for all of the MiHoYo games. About a 0.6% chance with no pity to get the banner character. Yeah, it is what it is. Every 10 pulls, you're guaranteed an epic. No matter if you're pulling on the weapon banner or the character banner. Weapon banner has a hard pity that's a little bit lower. But we can talk about the nuance of that. The character banner has a hard pity of 90. So you roll 90 times. You're guaranteed on that 90th pull, if you haven't already, to get a legendary character. Though, because that threshold's so low compared to other gacha games, they've implemented the 50-50 system. So you'll either get 50% chance, hey, you won the coin flip, you get the character that's on the banner, or hey, you lost the coin flip, you get one of X amount of characters that are the standard characters, and you just get one of them, the standard legendaries. And then the next time on a banner, because pity rolls over between banners, the next time you get a legendary, it's guaranteed to be the banner one. So if you get bad luck at first, you'll get it. So hard pity is 180 pulls. Like if you get super unlucky and go to pity, max pity both times, it's 180, and you lose the coin flip, right? Weapon banners, it's a little bit worse. It depends on the game that you're playing. In Genshin Impact, it's about a 33% chance instead of a 50-50 to get the weapon you want, because typically the weapon banner has 3 weapons on it. In Zenless Zone Zero, it's a 75% chance to get the one on the banner, 25% chance to get a standard one, and then the same thing the next time you get a legendary, it's going to be the one weapon that you want. This game does, these games do have a soft pity that comes in a little bit earlier. So rather than raids, you hit the 200 threshold and now your chances start building. If you hit the about 70-ish mark, it depends on the game, the next roll you have increases by a certain percentage until you get to the max pity. So, like, on average, unless you're, like, super duper unlucky, you're probably going to be rolling anywhere between 60 and, like, 80 times per banner to get the character that you want. You just have to, you have to win the 50-50. That's it. Most of the MiHoYo games have the same sort of echo fragment type of deal. I refer to it as the Spark system, because the game that I was most familiar with, Arknights, we'll talk about, had that as a system. Hey, you roll a bunch of times, you get a currency, you spend that currency on a character you want. So in most MiHoYo games, it's you roll up to about 300 times, and you just get to pick one of like 5 to 10 characters, and you just get that character. And most of the times, it's anytime you roll at all, as long as it's a character. I think it builds on that. As opposed to Godforge, where the Echo Fragment thing says you will get a copy of a character you already have. And I didn't do the math to see which shards, on average would give you the... I mean, I think the flawless ones just give you the most anyway. But I think the idea is by the time you hit 500, you're definitely guaranteed to have gotten at least one legendary. So by the time you hit 500, you can get another one. And there's no limit to it. In MiHoYo games, there is a limit to how many times you can do that. So yeah, I mean, it's a nice thing. You can only get duplicates of characters you already have, though, which is unfortunate. So I want to talk about the other games sort of in the genre, but before I do that, I want to talk about Raid for just another second. I just remembered something I wanted to talk about, because we're comparing and contrasting various games in the genre, and people keep bringing up Watcher of Realms, Raid, and Summoner's War as sort of pillars in this space that have done well with very similar pull rates to Godforge. And I think that we need to sort of address the root cause of why Raid does so well, or at least the few aspects of Raid that have made it a lasting game. One being regular updates. Not a lot of games continue regular updates 6 years down the line. There's a general community consensus that it is wait Shadow Legends. Wait and your account will grow over time. You have to invest time into it. You invest time into it. You invest more time into it because you've already invested time into it. Sunk cost and all that. That's like half the reason I still play. Like the rewards aren't that good. So it's really sort of like a waiting game to, hopefully Godforge will take over that. And the biggest element, Raid was made by a company that was a gambling house, was an online gambling house. And they are really good, or they were really good, and pushed a lot of marketing towards the idea of making you feel good for spending your money on the game. Once you spend money on a game, you're more psychologically attached to the game. I feel like I'm able to sort of like put down a game even if I've spent money on it because I don't like the decisions they've made or whatever. But not everybody could do that. And they definitely prey on people with like big bank accounts. They definitely prey on people who don't have good spending habits. We've all seen the, oh, hey, I've logged into the game and I have to click out of 7 different pop-ups because they keep trying to sell me something, and I accidentally click one and it brings up my PayPal, and it's like, what's going on? And like it's become like less and less of a thing over time, but we shouldn't be at the industry standard across the board. We need to realize why Raid is such a big thing and why they've made so much money, and it's because it was designed by a gambling house to make you feel good about spending money. Like, objectively, like, when was the last time you saw a Raid Shadow Legends cosplayer? Everybody rolls their eyes every time you mention Raid Shadow Legends. I don't make Raid Shadow Legends content. And I'm not trying to make this is not like a bash Raid video. I still play the game, right? But, like, we have the opportunity here to be something more and be something better. And I think that the current situation with Godforge Rates is that it's worse than Raid Shadow Legends, which is not where we want to be. We want to go the opposite direction. So I want to talk about other games, and I want to talk about games that are much, much more successful than Raid Shadow Legends. And all but one of these is in the anime space, so I totally understand that. But part of it comes from people who are attached to their characters and their teams. Like, you see promotions for a new Zenless character, and people like me are like, oh my god, a new Fox character is out? Like, I have to play the game. I have to get this person. I'm going to use all the roles that I've saved up to get this person and play with this character that I really enjoy. We don't know what the banner system or the rates up are going to look like in Godforge, so we can't really do that. But that, along with the pity, along with the rollover on pity, on soft pity, like, all of these systems exist to make it more fun as a player to get your characters and spend rolls or spend money or whatever. Okay, so I'm going to start with the most complex one. Arknight's Enfield just came out, and I don't think I've seen the like monthly reporting on how much money they've made, but I imagine it was a ton. So you get so in that game it goes up to like 6 stars, so it's 4, 5, and 6. I don't think there's any 3 stars. So the equivalent of a legendary is 6. The equivalent of an epic is 5. So an epic every 10, classic anime stuff. Every 80 pulls you get a guaranteed legendary, sort of like the Genshin games on the weapon. It's a 50-50. But if you lose that 50-50 and then get to 120, so not 80 times 2, you're guaranteed to get the banner character. So it's a little bit less, it's a little bit more of a break. But I think that their rolls are a little bit more expensive overall. They have like, them and Goddess of Victory Nikke have like the best spark system in my opinion. Every time you roll, you gain a currency. You can use that currency on a swath of characters. Sometimes the characters rotate, and sometimes it's just the character on the banner. Like, there have been times I'm playing Nikke, and I don't have enough rolls to get the character on the banner, but I really want them, so I'll use my saved up, like, echo fragments from Godforge to just buy the character. So I don't have to do any... I don't have to spend, I don't have to roll, I don't have to do anything. I just have the character. And you could then also use that to get copies of the character. Nikke is a bit different. They've got a 4% chance to get their equivalent of a legendary. They only have 2 rarities of character. Well, there's 3, but there's really only 2 rarities of characters. They have a 4% chance to get a legendary, but it's only a 2% to get the featured character, 2% chance to get a random one, and it's like a truly random one, like literally anybody else. So they're on like the high rate side. I couldn't get the rates for Arknight's Enfield because I wasn't home, so I couldn't open the game to get it. Watcher of Realms, I know a lot of people in the community have played. It looked like the different shard types. They have soft pity, and which is like the sort of climbing percentage up to the hard pity. Hard pity of 200, so that's the same as Godforge. Hard pity of 20 on the yellows for legendaries is far less. It's a half of Godforge, so we're not even at industry standard there. Etheria Restart. It was 100 pools hard pity in beta, I believe. It's now 80. I've not opened the game in a long time, so I don't know if anything's changed. But they have a epic every 10 pulls and 80 pulls with no 50-50. So 80 pulls max pity on the banner. You're guaranteed to get the legendary that you want, which is pretty good. And I remember, at least in the beginning of the game, it was very easy to get rolls. There's a lot of characters that get early game. I don't know. I don't play the game anymore. But they have a base rate of 1%, which is double that of Godforge for legendaries on sort of normal rolls. But I guess in that game there's like two different types of banners, so we can't maybe really compare it to like Ancestrals, like the blue ones. Maybe we can. I don't know. Depends on how often we're gonna get them. Alchemy stars. As a player, I always felt that like I was getting 6 stars very often. I played the game for a couple of years. It's pretty fun. 2% overall on getting the equivalent of a legendary. Soft pity of 50, building up. That's a pretty early soft pity. Building up to 90 for getting the guaranteed character that you want. Dislight, I found very, very funny. I couldn't find information on how the banner system worked when the first banner came out. I was playing that game since beta, and when the first banner came out, the hard pity was 900, which was egregious. It was so bad. They went the complete opposite way. I'm just including them here because it's another game in a gacha field that's about gods. But it's now a hard pity of 101% chance. I believe they don't have a 1 epic per 10 pull. I could be wrong, though. There's 2 different ways to roll in that game. I think the main one doesn't have a 1 epic per 10 pull. And I no longer play it because getting characters is like pulling teeth in that game. This is a game I've not played, but has dominated the field for well over a year. Love and Deep Space. I guess they have 3 different types of characters. Their base rate for legendary characters is 1%. They have a soft pity of 60 and a hard pity of 140 with a 50-50. So same as like Genshin and Hoyo stuff. If you get a 6-star, or if you get a legendary, it's going to be a 50-50 chance of the banner character or somebody else. So hard pity of 140 rather than... wait, why is it a hard pity of... Oh, because... Yeah, 70 is the max pity. Yeah. 70 is max pity before you get a legendary, and then 140 is double that if you mess up and get the the bad coin flip. All this to say, I don't think it's the percentages of Godforge that's the problem. I think it's the pity rates, and we just need to know how often we're going to be acquiring these shards and these stones, I guess, and what the rate ups are going to look like. Is it going to be a banner? Is it going to be a progressive, like you open X amount until you get this character? Am I going to have to save a bunch, like in Raid Shadow Legends, and never open my freaking shards? I think it's very early. This is the first look we've got at this thing, but when I saw it, I immediately, like, my heart sank. And I think it's good that the community is talking about this. I posted a screenshot as soon as I saw it into the Godforge Discord, and everybody started, like, chiming in their opinion. It's good to see everybody's opinions. There's tons of other videos of other content creators with their opinions on it. Some good, some charitable, some bad, negative opinions towards this. Clearly, I am not excited by this. Yeah, I don't know if I have too much more to say. I think the ecosystem's nice. I like the idea of being able to, just acquire legendaries over time via opening and not having to worry about, like, how am I going to get a duplicate of Wukong? Like, oh, I can just, when I have my one, I can eventually, down the road, build towards multiple. But I think that's going to do it for me. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Let me know if any of this didn't make sense. I'll try to clarify. And as this evolves, if we see these rates change, or, like, maybe I can really convince the devs to, like, let us have one epic per 10 pool. Like, the feel bad in raid of opening a 10 pool and not getting an epic is so bad. And, like, maybe that's like, oh, they want you to use rares a little bit more. It's like, okay, well, that's fine. We're going to get rares, and we're going to get rares up to Awakening 5, and then we're going to get their imprints. And then what? Then they're going to be fodder. And, like, that's not a good place. That doesn't feel good. Like, I want to play with the epic character. Like, they build up the uncommons, and maybe they want us to use the uncommons a little bit more. I don't know. I feel like I want to play the game with epics and legendaries. Sorry, Isolde. Sorry, Adam. I don't want to play the game with only rares. Other people can do that. And I feel like, even if it's like $20 for a 10 pack of blues, like, I should get an epic. I should be guaranteed an epic. Like, it should be worth my time. It should be worth my money. It should be worth my efforts if I have to save them. Like, as a player, I shouldn't feel like I'm kicked in the teeth for opening 10. Like when I open 10 in raid and don't get an epic, I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have opened them. I should have waited. So I don't want to feel bad. I want to play the game. I want to have fun, and I want everybody else to have fun. And I want to bring what I've learned from other gachas and other gachas that have failed to this game. There was another game called Artery Gear that had no pity and no soft pity, I believe. It's long dead. It's been dead for like 2.5 years. That was super fun. It was very, very fun to play, but the gacha system was just terrible. And I believe there was no pity. And it was like, you just had to be a whale or a kraken. You just have to open your wallet to get the character you wanted. And it was like, why am I even playing this game? Anyway, that's going to do it for me. Twitch.tv/VexingLive if you want to join the discussion while we're recording. Or I'll have a link to our Discord down below. You can come hang out and talk about all manner of things. I hope you have a good day. Let me know in the comments what you're thinking about rates. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!